Welcome to the Ultimate Sports Blog Podcast. Today's Friday, September 7th, 2018. Today I'm going to recap last night's opening game of the NFL season between the Falcons and the Eagles. I'll look ahead to tonight's baseball games as well as look back on last night's games. Go over U.S. Open for both the men's and the women's, and I'll pick the men's semifinals. The WNBA finals begin tonight. I'll pick game one and pick the series. Discuss a little Le'Veon Bell news that came out yesterday late afternoon. Go over the PGA Tour. We'll do my weekly college football picks. And I'll do my week one NFL picks. All right, to football we go. The Eagles defeated the Falcons 8-12. It was a complete image, pretty much, of the game in the divisional round a year ago, and like how it ended, and it just felt like I watched the same game twice. Matt Ryan, 21 for 43, 251 yards and interception. Nick Foles, 19 for 34, 117 yards and an interception. First quarter, Atlanta gets on the board first on a field goal by Matt Bryant, 3-0 Atlanta. Second quarter, Jake Elliott ties it up with his leg at 3 apiece. Then Matt Bryant, field goal as the 2-minute warning was approaching. 6-3, Atlanta was your score at halftime. Third quarter, touchdown run, Jay Ajayi, 10-6 Philly. Tavon Coleman, 9-yard touchdown run. Matt Bryant misses the extra point, so it's 12-10 Atlanta. And with 2:19 left in the game, Jay Ajayi, 11-yard touchdown run. And Jay Ajayi runs in the 2-point conversion as well. 8-12 was your final. And Julio Jones had a monster game for fantasy owners. 10 receptions, 169 yards. Devontae Freeman, 6 carries, 36 yards. Jay Ajayi was good. 15 carries, 62 yards, and 2 touchdowns. Zach Ertz, 5 receptions, 48 yards. And I'll go over the rest of the weekend slate and pick all those games at the end of the podcast. Baseball, 4 games last night. The Padres defeated the Reds 6-2 as they improved to 56-86. The Reds dropped to 59-82. Jose Castillo improves to 2-2. Luis Castillo drops to 8-12. The Cubs defeated the Nationals 6-4 in 10 innings as they improved to 83-57. The Nats dropped to 69-72. Pedro Strop improves to 5-1. Jimmy Cordero drops to 1-2. Jesse Chavez gets his 3rd save of the year. The Indians defeated the Blue Jays 9-4 as they improved to 80-60. Toronto drops to 63-77. Shane Bieber improves to 9-3. Sam Gaviglio drops to 3-8. The Braves defeated the Diamondbacks 7-6 in 10 innings on a wild pitch by Yoshihisa Hirano, on which Dansby Swanson scored in. JT Biddle improves to 5-1. Brad Boxberger drops to 2-6. Brad Brock gets his first save as a member of the Braves. This is a wild game. Biddle blows the save, courtesy of a home run by Paul Goldschmidt in the bottom of the 9th, and the Diamondbacks down to their final strike. Top of the 10th inning. The Braves thought they had a go-ahead single by Tyler Flowers, but Dansby Swanson missed third base, so he had to go back. And then while Acuna was at bat, Swanson winds up scoring the go-ahead run on a passed ball. Tonight's games, 6:40 Padres Reds, Brett Kennedy and Anthony DeSclafani. 7 o'clock Indians Blue Jays, Carlos Carrasco, Marco Estrada. Cubs Nationals, John Lester and Joe Ross. Marlins Pirates, Dan Straley and Chris Archer. Astros Red Sox, Garrett Cole and David Price. Cardinals Tigers, Austin Gomber and Daniel Norris. Phillies Mets, Aaron Nola and Steven Matz. Orioles Rays, Dylan Bundy and Blake Snell. 8 o'clock Angels White Sox, Felix Pena and Carlos Rodon. Royals, Twins, Heath Fillmeyer and Stephen Gonsalves. Giants, Brewers, Derek Holland and Chase Anderson. 8:40 Dodgers, Rockies, Clayton Kershaw and John Gray. 9:40 Braves, Diamondbacks, Kevin Gausman and Patrick Corbin. 10 o'clock Rangers, Athletics, Yvonne Gallardo and Chris Bassett. And Yankees, Mariners, Masahiro Tanaka and James Paxton. All right. U.S. Open. Women's. Serena Williams defeats Anastasia Sevastova as Serena advances to the final. And what was a bit of a surprise to me, Naomi Osaka defeated Madison Keys to advance to the final. So Serena goes up against Naomi Osaka. Men's today. 4 o'clock ESPN. Rafael Nadal against Juan Del Pardo. Give me the GOAT on the men's side, and that's Rafael Nadal. 7 o'clock ESPN. Kei Nishikori against Novak Djokovic. Give me Novak Djokovic to set up the dream final of Rafael Nadal against Novak Djokovic. WNBA Finals begins tonight. You have the Washington Mystics against the Seattle Storm. It's sort of like a new blood finals after Link Sparks the last couple years. 9 o'clock ESPN News. Game 1 tonight. For the series, you have the Storm, who have Brianna Stewart, Jewel Lloyd, and Sue Bird as their big three. This is a very improved team from a year ago. I think this team is built to win now and in the future, even in the post-Sue Bird era, because of Stewart and Lloyd's presence. On the flip side, you have the Mystics, who traded for Elena Delle Donne a few years ago. And Chrissy Tolliver's there too. So that's a solid team out there as well. But I like the Storm to win this series in 4 games. And the WNBA Finals MVP will be the regular season MVP, and that's Brianna Stewart. And my pick for the game tonight, give me the Storm at home, obviously. Like I said, Storm in 4 games. I think the Storm win the first 2. The Mystics win the next one. And then the Storm wrap it up in 4 games in D.C. And plus, I'm a little concerned with the health of Delle Donne, but even though she seems healthy, I just think the Storm are a better team. Le'Veon Bell, there was a report out by the great Ian Rappaport that said that he will be reporting to the Steelers on Saturday, although he will not play Sunday. I think the Steelers should be fine because I don't think the Browns are as good or as hopeful as people think they'll be. I'm not a huge fan of Hugh Jackson. I wouldn't be dumbfounded if the Browns found a way to win the game, per se, but I really just don't think the loss of Le'Veon Bell is as big as, say, a loss of Ben Roethlisberger or even Antonio Brown, for that matter. I think James Conner will do a fine job replacing him for these first week or even few weeks, depending on how long Bell sits out for. And we'll get more in depth with the NFL picks in a minute. I just want to hit on PGA real quick. We have the BMW Championship. In first place, you have Xander Schauffele with a score of -13. Justin Rose is in second place with a score of -11. Three-way tie for third. Keegan Bradley, Alexander Noren, and Ricky Fowler all at -10. Notables, Tiger Woods is tied for 10th with a bunch of other people at a -8. But he's eliminated for today. Rory McIlroy is in a tie for 7th with Justin Thomas and Jason Day at a -9 for the tournament. Bubba Watson's tied for 34th with a -4. And that's pretty much it in terms of the notables. Now I want to go pick my college football games for the weekend. Just like I did last week, I'll give you my straight up pick towards Maddie's picks. And then I'll give you, on the side note, a gambling play for the podcast as well. We'll start with tonight. You have 16th ranked TCU at SMU. TCU's 1-0 in the year. SMU's 0-1. 8 o'clock. ESPN 2. I like TCU straight up. And my gambling play is over 59.5. Saturday, New Mexico at 5th ranked Wisconsin. Both teams 1-0. 12 o'clock Big Ten Network. Straight up play is Wisconsin. And the gambling play is over 61. Western Michigan at 21st ranked Michigan. Both teams 0-1. 12 o'clock Fox Sports 1. I love Michigan straight up. I expect a big bounce back game for them. But I think Western Michigan is going to cover the point spread. It's at 28. I could just totally see like a backdoor cover. And at worst, I could see this being a push. Because I think Michigan's going to be looking ahead a little bit after they get out to a big lead. Like, I can see this being like let's say a 50-26 final score. And that would still get me the cover. You have 18th ranked Mississippi State at Kansas State, 12 o'clock ESPN. Both teams 1-0. Bill Snyder's teams usually do better when expectations are lowered, like it's the case now. But I don't see them winning here, even at home, because I really, really like the Bulldogs this year. So give me Mississippi State straight up. And my gambling play is -9.5. And not only do I love the 9.5, that's one of my best bets for the week. Next, you have Towson at Wake Forest. Both teams 1-0 in the air. As we all know, Towson is an FCS school. Wake is obviously FBS. I'm going to take Wake Forest here, obviously. They're the better team, and they should be able to beat up on an FCS school. And there's no line or over-under on the play. So just skip that one. Eastern Michigan at Purdue. 12 o'clock Big Ten Network. Eastern Michigan's 1-0. Purdue is 0-1 and 0-1 obviously in the Big Ten because they lost to Northwestern last week. I like Purdue to bounce back here and get the win. So they're my straight up pick. Purdue's a -16.5 point favorite. But my play here is over 55.5. Liberty at Army, 12 o'clock CBS Sports Network. Liberty's 1-0, Army's 0-1. The Flames were impressive last week against Old Dominion, but I think they'll have a letdown here against a Knights team that lost a lot of players, but I still think is a quality team. So give me Army here. Army is a 9.5 point favorite, and I like them to cover that point spread. And the over-under is 58.5. Nevada at Vanderbilt, 12 o'clock SEC Sportsnet. Both teams 1-0. I like Vanderbilt straight up. They're a 9 point favorite, but the play here is over 61.5. Arizona and Houston, 12 o'clock on ABC. Arizona's 0-1. Houston's 1-0. Hard call here, but going to take a risk and go with the Wildcats on the road to bounce back from last week's disappointing loss. So give me Arizona. They're a 4.5 point underdog. I like them, obviously, to cover that, so that's the gambling play. The over-under here is 70.5. Duke at Northwestern, 12 o'clock ESPNU. Both teams are 1-0. Northwestern obviously 1-0 in the Big Ten as well. Expect a competitive game here, but I like the Cats in their home opener, so give me Northwestern straight up. They're a 3-point favorite. I obviously like them to cover, so that's my gambling play. The over-under is 49. Georgia Tech at South Florida, 12 o'clock ESPN2. Both teams are 1-0. My pick here is South Florida. I think they're going to pull off the upset. They're a 3.5-point underdog. I obviously think they'll cover that. The over-under is 62. And my gambling play obviously is the 3.5 with South Florida. Georgia State at NC State, 12:30 ACC Network. Both teams are 1-0. NC State is a 25.5-point favorite. I like NC State to win, but my gambling play is over 58.5. UCLA at number 6 ranked Oklahoma. UCLA is 0-1. Oklahoma's 1-0. 1 o'clock on Fox. The Sooners will steamroll the Bruins and Chip Kelly. Give you Oklahoma. My gambling play is Oklahoma minus 31. The over-under in this game is 62. Holy Cross at Boston College. 1 o'clock ACC Network. Holy Cross is 0-1 and 0-1 in their conference. Boston College is 1-0 in the year. Give me Boston College. It's an FCS team, so no line posted. Same for this next one. William & Mary at 12th ranked Virginia Tech. Both teams are 1-0. Virginia Tech's 1-0 in their conference. 2 o'clock ACC Network. Virginia Tech's winning that game straight up. Portland State at 23rd ranked Oregon. 2 o'clock Pac-12 Network. Portland State's 0-1. Oregon's 1-0. Oregon's going to win that game. Air Force at Florida Atlantic. Air Force is 1-0. FAU's 0-1. 2 o'clock CBS Sports Network. Give me FAU in this spot. I think they'll cover the minus 10. And that is one of my best bets. The over-under is 72. Kansas at Central Michigan, 3 o'clock on ESPN+. Both teams are 0-1. Central Michigan is a 4-point favorite. I like Central Michigan straight up, but my gambling play is under 51.5. Arkansas State at number 1 Alabama. Both teams 1-0. 3:30 ESPN2. Roll Tide. Alabama's winning that game, but they're going to go under the point total. I think it'll be under 65.5. I think Saban is just going to milk some clock. Tua make his plays, and then they'll either go to Jalen Hurts or whoever the third string is behind Hurts. And Bama is laying 36.5. Third ranked Georgia at 24 ranked South Carolina. Both teams 1-0. 3:30 CBS. Would not be shocked if this is closer than the experts think, but I love the Bulldogs in this spot. I would be more nervous for them if this was a night game. Georgia's laying 10.5. I think Georgia wins and covers, and that's my gambling play too. The over-under is 56.5. Rutgers at 4th ranked Ohio State, 3:30 Big Ten Network. Both teams are 1-0. Ohio State's winning that game, and they'll cover the 35 points. Ball State at 8th ranked Notre Dame. 3:30 NBC. Ball State 1-0. Notre Dame obviously 1-0. Notre Dame's winning the game. They're a 34.5-point favorite. But my play here for the podcast is under 62.5. Colorado at Nebraska, 3:30 ABC. Colorado's 1-0. Nebraska did not play last week because their game was canceled due to lightning. Nebraska's a 3.5-point favorite. I like them to win straight up. But my gambling play here is over 65.5, and I think that is a no-brainer, so that's one of my best bets. If I didn't mention before, FAU minus 10 is one of my best bets as well. Buffalo at Temple, 3:30 ESPN3. Buffalo's 1-0, Temple's 0-1. I'm tempted to pick the Bulls in an upset special. to drop Temple 0-2. But I just can't see the Owls going to 0-2. So give me Temple here. Although my play for the podcast is Buffalo plus 4.5. I think Temple wins by less than 5 points. The over-under is 49.5. Memphis, Navy, 3:30, CBS Sports Network. Memphis is 1-0, Navy's 0-1. I like the midshipmen here to bounce back at home against their conference rival. Give me Navy straight up. Plus 6.5 is the play, and this is my money line pick of the week, plus 215. The over-under is 70. North Carolina and East Carolina, 3:30 ESPNU, both teams 0-1. I like North Carolina straight up, but my gambling pick is East Carolina getting the 16.5 points. That's just too many points at home against an ACC team that's mediocre. The over-under is 60. So I'm going to say East Carolina covers the 16.5, but North Carolina wins by, let's say, 12 points. Wagner at Syracuse, 3:30 ACC Network. Both teams 1-0. Give me the orange. And I like Wagner to cover the 41.5, though. That line was actually posted, so that's that. I can't remember what the over-under was, but my pick for the gambling portion is Wagner plus 41.5, but the straight-up Maddie's picks, Syracuse, obviously. Howard at Kent State, 3:30 ESPN plus. Howard's 0-1. Kent is 0-1. Should I go with an upset here? You know what? The Bison almost did it against the conference favorite Ohio Bobcats, so I'll give them a shot here against the Golden Flames. So give me Howard for the upset. Morgan State at Akron, 3:30 ESPN plus. Morgan State's 0-1. Akron didn't play last week. Their game was canceled against Nebraska. I like Akron to win straight up. Lamar at Texas Tech, 4 o'clock. Lamar's 1-0. Tech is 0-1. Texas Tech will bounce back from last week's loss. So the Red Raiders win there. Southern Illinois at Ole Miss, 4 o'clock SEC Network. Both teams 1-0. I love Ole Miss in this spot. East Tennessee State at Tennessee, 4 o'clock SEC Network. East Tennessee State's 1-0. Tennessee's 0-1. I think Tennessee bounces back from their dismal loss against West Virginia. North Dakota at 9th-ranked Washington, 5 o'clock Pac-12 Network. North Dakota 1-0. Washington 0-1. I like Washington to bounce back from their tough loss against Auburn. Cyhawk. Iowa State at Iowa, 5 o'clock on Fox. Iowa State didn't play last week. Iowa's 1-0. This Cyhawk should be a good one with both teams being solid. I like the Hawkeyes at home this time around. The pick here is Iowa. They're a 3.5-point favorite, but the gambling play here is over 47. Savannah State at 22nd ranked Miami, 6 o'clock. ACC Network, the pick there is Miami. Youngstown State at 14th ranked West Virginia, 6 o'clock. The pick's West Virginia. South Carolina State at 19th ranked UCF, 6 o'clock. ESPN 3. SC State's 0-1, UCF's 1-0, and 1-0 in their conference. UCF wins again. Maryland at Bowling Green, 6 o'clock ESPN plus. Maryland's 1-0, Bowling Green's 0-1. Maryland is a 16.5-point favorite. I like Maryland to win the game, but the gambling play is over 66. Massachusetts at Georgia Southern, 6 o'clock ESPN plus. UMass is 0-1. Georgia Southern's 1-0. UMass is a 2.5-point underdog. I think they'll cover, and I think they'll win outright. And my gambling play is obviously UMass plus 2.5. Over-under is 62.5. Appalachian State at Charlotte, 6 o'clock ESPN plus. Appalachian State is a 14-point favorite. I think they win that and cover that easily. That's one of my best bets. The over-under is 47.5. Eastern Kentucky at Marshall, 6:30 ESPN Plus. Both teams 1-0. The pick is Marshall. Second-ranked Clemson at Texas A&M, 7 o'clock ESPN. Both teams 1-0. This should be an interesting game. Game day, surprisingly, is in town for this one instead of being at Stanford for their matchup against USC. I think that'll excite the Aggies a little bit, but I don't see this game being close at all. The Tigers will take it going away as Jimbo Fisher's new team is far from the level of his former rival, Clemson Tigers. So the pick there is Clemson, and the gambling play is -12. The over-under is 54. Southeastern Louisiana at 11th ranked LSU, 7 o'clock. LSU's 1-0. Southeastern Louisiana is 0-1. The pick obviously is LSU. Tennessee Martin at Middle Tennessee, 7 o'clock ESPN Plus. Both teams 0-1. The pick is Middle Tennessee. Southern at Louisiana Tech, 7 o'clock ESPN Plus. Southern's 0-1. Louisiana Tech's 1-0. The pick is La Tech. UL Monroe at Southern Miss, 7 o'clock ESPN 3. Both teams 1-0. I like Southern Miss. I like them to cover the 6, so that's my gambling play of this game. And the over-under is 68. UAB at Coastal Carolina, 7 o'clock ESPN Plus. UAB's 1-0. Coastal Carolina 0-1. The pick's UAB, and I like them to lay the 10.5. The over-under is 55. Baylor at UTSA, 7 o'clock. Baylor 1-0, UTSA 0-1. I like Baylor in this spot. And I believe that they'll cover the 14.5. Although I don't feel great about that. And I don't have an over-under on here for them posted. Indiana State at Louisville, 7 o'clock ACC Network. Indiana State 1-0, Louisville 0-1. I like Louisville to bounce back here and win big. Wyoming at Missouri. Wyoming's 1-1. Mizzou's 1-0, 7 o'clock. I like Missouri straight up, but the gambling play is Wyoming plus 18. Because I think that's too high. Wyoming is better than what they showed against Wazoo. The over-under is 53. Texas Southern at Texas State, 7 o'clock. Southern's 1-0, State's 0-1. Give me State. Florida A&M at Troy. A&M 1-0, Troy 0-1. Give me Troy. Samford at Florida State, 7:20 ACC Network. Samford 1-0. Florida State's 0-1 and 0-1 in their conference. Give me the Seminoles to bounce back from the ugly loss. Alabama State at 7th ranked Auburn, 7:30 SEC Network. Alabama State 1-0. Auburn also 1-0. Auburn's winning out game big. Western Illinois against Illinois, 7:30 Big Ten Network. Western Illinois is 0-1. Illinois is 1-0. Give me Illinois. Virginia at Indiana, 7:30 Big Ten Network. Both teams 1-0. This is a swing game for both of these teams. I think the winner of this game definitely goes to a bowl game, although I could see the loser going to a bowl game in this scenario too. Indiana's laying 6.5. I like Indiana to win, but my gambling play here is the over 51.5. Arkansas at Colorado State, 7:30 CBS Sports Network. Arkansas 1-0. Colorado State's 0-2, 0-1 in their conference. I'm tempted to take the Rams here to get their first win, but I'm going to say they just fall short. So give me Arkansas straight up, but my gambling play is Colorado State plus 13. The over-under is 69.5. Kentucky at number 25 ranked Florida, 7:30 SEC Network. Both teams 1-0. This is going to be a great game down in the swamp. Give me the Gators in a super close one at home. Give me Florida straight up. And my gambling play is Kentucky plus 13.5, and that is one of my best bets. The over-under is 50. Utah at Northern Illinois, 7:30 ESPN News. The pick is Utah, who is 1-0. Northern's 0-1. And I like Utah to cover the 10. The over-under is 47.5. Maine at Western Kentucky, 7:30 ESPN Plus. Maine's 1-0 and 1-0 in their conference. Western is 0-1. I like Western to bounce back. FIU at Old Dominion, 7:30. Both teams are 0-1. It's a conference game. I like Old Dominion here. I have it as it was a pick'em. Now it's -2, and I'll take that at -2. And I will take that as the gambling play. The over-under is 52. Incarnate Word in North Texas, 7:30 ESPN Plus. Word's 0-1. North Texas is 1-0. I really like North Texas. Fresno State at Minnesota, 7:30 Fox Sports 1. Both teams 1-0. This could be a sneaky good game. I think that the Bulldogs can pull off the upset, but I think that's too popular of an upset pick. I like the Gophers at home. Give me Minnesota on a contrarian play. I like the Gophers -2.5 as my gambling pick here. The over-under is 47.5. 13th ranked Penn State at Pitt, 8 o'clock. ABC. Both teams are 1-0. This should be a fun atmosphere on Pitt's campus, or I should say in Pitt's home stadium at Heinz Field, at Steelers Stadium, per se. But I think the Nittany Lions are going to come out with a vengeance and show the playoff and voters that they're better than what they showed last week in that collapse and near loss against Appalachian State, and they'll win this game going away after, like I said, almost losing a week ago. The pick is Penn State. I love the -8.5. That's my gambling play, and that is my ultimate best bet of the weekend, and the over-under is 57. Tulsa, Texas, 8 o'clock on the Longhorn Network. Tulsa 1-0, Texas 0-1. Texas will bounce back and win. They're laying 22.5, but my play here is over 61. New Mexico State at Utah State at 8 o'clock. New Mexico State's 0-2. Utah's 0-1. I love Utah State here. I think they'll lay the smackdown on them, which will mean covering the 22.5. That's my gambling play here. The over-under is 60.5. South Alabama at Oklahoma State at 8 o'clock. South Alabama's 0-1. Oklahoma State's 1-0. And I love the Cowboys here. They're a 32-point favorite, but the gambling play is over 62.5. Nichols at Tulane, 8 o'clock ESPN 3. Nichols is 1-0 with the upset win over Kansas. Tulane's 0-1. They lost in overtime to Wake. Will the Colonels pull off a second straight upset? I say no. Letdown game. Tulane wins. Southern Utah at Oregon State, 8 o'clock Pac-12 Network. Both teams are 0-1. I think Oregon State bounces back here at home. Gets a win. Cincinnati at Miami of Ohio, 8 o'clock ESPN 3. Cincinnati's 1-0. Miami's 0-1. The Bearcats, I think, will have a letdown here after their big win against Chip Kelly and the UCLA Bruins. So the pick here is Miami of Ohio. They're laying a point. That's my gambling play here. The over-under is 51.5. Best game of week 2. 17th ranked USC at 10th ranked Stanford. Both 1-0. 8:30 on Fox. Like I said, best game of week 2. I think the Cardinals were snubbed of game day, but oh well. That said, I like Bryce Love and the Cardinal here to get a big win. I don't trust JT Daniels on the road in a hostile environment yet, especially at night. The pick is Stanford. The gambling play is -5.5 with the Cardinal. The over-under is 56.5. UTEP at UNLV, 9 o'clock. Both teams 0-1. I like UNLV here, but the gambling play is over 56.5. Although UNLV is a 23.5 play favorite, I think they can cover that too. But the over, I think, is the bigger lock. Sacramento State at San Diego State, 9 o'clock. Sacramento State's 1-0. San Diego State's 0-1. Give me San Diego State. Cal at BYU, 10:15 ESPN2. Both teams are 1-0. I think the Cougars follow up this win with another win at home. Give me BYU. They're favored by 3.5, but the gambling play here is 46.5 over. UConn at 20th ranked Boise, 10 o'clock ESPNU. UConn's 0-1 and 0-1 in their conference. Boise's 1-0. Boise's going to lay the smackwood down. They're winning straight up, and I like them to cover the 31.5. The over-under is 64. Michigan State at Arizona State, 10:45 ESPN. The 15th ranked team in the country is 1-0. Zona State's 1-0 as well. I expect Sparty to come out and win in Tempe by double digits and look much better than they did against Utah State. Give me Sparty straight up. I love them to cover that 6. The over-under is 52.5. Wouldn't be shocked if the Sun Devils hung around in this game. Herm's going to motivate them. I'm not a Herm Edwards fan per se, but I like their quarterback, Manny Wilkins. Sparty's defense did not show me anything good, so I think they'll give up some points. I'm going to say the final something like 40-30. And Zona State just gets within a couple to make that game look closer than it really is. San Jose State at Washington State. San Jose State's 0-1. Wazoo's 1-0. 11 o'clock Pac-12 network. Give me the Huskies. They'll cover the 34.5. The over-under 65.5. Last but not least, in terms of college, Rice at Hawaii, 11:59. Rice is 1-1. Hawaii's 2-0 and 1-0 in the conference. Hawaii is a 16.5 point favorite. I like them to win, and they'll cover the 16.5. The over-under is 72. All right, that's it for college. NFL now, week 1. I was wrong last night, so I'm already off to an 0-1 start this year. First up, the Texans at the Patriots, 1 o'clock on CBS. This is a fun one on paper. The Texans should be a good team this season with key players returning from injury, including Deshaun Watson. The Pats are still going to be a contender as long as Tom Brady is playing at a high level. I expect this game to be close, and I like the Pats here at home. New England 27, Houston 20. Like I said, I think the Patriots will cover the 6.5, but the gambling play here is under 50.5. And I think the headline is going to be Watson shines, but Brady leads Pats to win. And like I said yesterday, when I made my headline prediction for the Falcons-Eagles game, I think I'm going to stick with this headlines prediction thing and predict what the media is going to say and predict what will happen during the game by using a headline. Bucks at the Saints, 1 o'clock on Fox. The Saints come into the season with expectations through the roof, and rightfully so, with Drew Brees still playing at a high level and them actually having a competent defense for once. The Bucks are a mess right now with Jameis Winston suspended and Ryan Fitzpatrick is starting. No-brainer here. The Saints are my lock of the week. New Orleans 37, Tampa Bay 13. So the Saints cover the 9.5. That's the easy play. Saints -9. And my headline call, Brees Kamara leads Saints to double-digit win over the Jameis-less Bucks. The over-under is 49.5. Bengals at the Colts, 1 o'clock, CBS. This game has some intrigue with Andrew Luck playing in a regular season game for the first time in almost 2 years, and the Bengals looking to bounce back from a disappointing season a year ago. Despite Luck being back, the Bengals have a better roster, and it might not be close, and I like them here on the road to win by double digits. Cincinnati 30, Indianapolis 17. The gambling plays obviously Bengals plus 2.5. The over-under is 48.5. My headline prediction, Andrew unlucky in long-awaited return. Jaguars at the Giants, 1 o'clock on Fox. The intrigues of this game is the return of Tom Coughlin to MetLife Stadium as a Jags executive, as well as the individual matchup of Jalen Ramsey against Odell Beckham Jr. The Jags look to build on last year's AFC Championship game appearance, and the Giants look to rebound from their 3-13 disaster a year ago. Something tells me that the Giants will have a bit of chip on their shoulder and will pull off a Week 1 upset. Prediction: New York Giants 24, Jacksonville 20. Upset special. Giants are going to cover the 3. That's my gambling play. Not only will they cover the 3, they'll win outright. So I'd take a chance on them with the money line. The over-under is 42.5. Headline: Barkley shines as Giants steal Week 1 win. And bonus prediction, I'm going to say that Blake Bortles throws a pick 6 in this game to Landon Collins. So that will be the difference in the game ultimately. And people are going to be saying, oh, the Jags should have won 20-17, but Bortles threw a pick 6. But yep, that's my prediction. Bortles throws a pick 6, 24-20 New York Giants. And they'll start 1-0 in the Pat Shurmur era. The Steelers are at the Browns. 1 o'clock CBS. This game just got a whole lot fascinating on paper now with the news of Le'Veon Bell not back and playing yet. The Browns like to improve with many offseason additions they have. Jarvis Landry among them, Carlos Hyde, Tyrod Taylor. Despite the loss of Bell, the Steelers are still better than the Browns and expect James Conner to have a breakout game running the ball, leading the Steelers to a win. Pittsburgh 27, Cleveland 17. My gambling player is the -4 with the Steelers. The over-under is 44.5. Headline: No Bell, no problem. The 49ers are at the Vikings, 1 o'clock on Fox. This should be a fun game in Minneapolis. Expectations are high for the Niners with Jimmy Garoppolo in a town for a full season, as well as the Vikes because they have a loaded roster and upgraded at quarterback. That said, I love the Vikes because the roster is miles better than the Niners is, and home field advantage helps too. Minnesota 30, San Francisco 20. Vikings are laying 6.5, but my gambling play here is over 45.5. Headline: Cousins shines in Vikings debut. The Tennessee Titans are at the Miami Dolphins, 1 o'clock on Fox. Expectations are high for the Titans this season after making the division round a year ago, and they have a new head coach in Mike Vrabel. The Dolphins' expectations are lowered, and rightfully so, although Ryan Tannehill is back from injury. I love the Titans in this spot, and I like them to win comfortably here on the road. Prediction: Tennessee 27, Miami 16. My gambling play here is laying the 1.5 with the Titans. The over-under is 45. My headline: Mariota leads Titans to win. The Buffalo Bills take on the Baltimore Ravens. 1 o'clock CBS. This game would have been a lot more interesting if Josh Allen was starting here. Everyone expects a complete drop-off from the Bills this year after breaking their playoff drought a season ago. Nathan Peterman will start for the Bills, and we will all remember his awful showing last season against the Chargers. The Ravens' defense is one of the good ones in the league, although I don't think the Ravens are going to have a good season. And I like them to win here comfortably. Baltimore 26, Buffalo 10. I like the Ravens to cover the 7.5. That's my gambling pick here. The over-under is 40.5. Headline: Peterman struggles as Ravens cruise. Kansas City Chiefs at the Los Angeles Chargers, 4 o'clock CBS. This is a great divisional game between two teams that conceivably make deep playoff runs. Pat Mahomes replaces Alex Smith at quarterback for Kansas City and has a very good supporting cast. The Chargers look to turn around their bad luck and close games issues from a season ago and turn it into a division title. This is going to be a great game and perhaps the best game of Week 1. Give me the Chargers in a close one to turn around their fortunes for at least this week. Chargers 27, Chiefs 24. And my gambling play here is over 48. Headline: Rivers clutch throws leads Chargers past Mahomes and the Chiefs. Dallas Cowboys at the Carolina Panthers, 4:25 on Fox. Joe Buck, Troy Aikman, Aaron Andrews on the call. This game has intrigue in it with the Cowboys, whose expectations are lower due to injuries on the offensive line and key free agent losses. The Panthers have higher expectations this season with a lot of talent on both sides of the ball. I like Cam Newton to use his arm and legs to lead the Panthers to a double-digit win. Carolina 34, Dallas 20. The gambling play is -3 with the Panthers. I think they should be more like -6.5. The over-under is 42.5. Headline, McCaffrey's big day leads Panthers past boys. The Seahawks at the Broncos, 4:25 on Fox. Neither team has high expectations this season, but both teams look to rebound disappointing seasons from a year ago. Amazing how these two teams were in the Super Bowl 5 seasons ago. They're both from a cry of it seems like. Anyway, both teams have seen a lot of turnover in their rosters, and the Seahawks in particular. The Seahawks offensive line is a mess, and I love that Broncos pass rush led by Von Miller and rookie Bradley Chubb to get to Russell Wilson to lead them to a Week 1 win. Prediction, Denver 22, Seattle 17. Broncos are a 3-point favorite. My gambling play here is under 42.5. My headline, Von Miller pass rush get to Wilson as Broncos win. The Redskins at the Cardinals, 4:25 on Fox. I don't know what to make of this game. This is the hardest one I had to pick. The Redskins' expectations are lowered in a loaded NFC, as well as the Cards, who are starting Sam Bradford over Josh Rosen, which might not be a bad thing. Alex Smith isn't a bad quarterback, although he doesn't have Darius Geis for the season. And I like him to make plays to lead the Skins to a Week 1 win. Washington 24, Arizona 20. My gambling player is the +1 for the Redskins. The over-under is 44. My headline, Alex Smith solid in Skins debut. Sunday Night Football. Al Michaels, Chris Collinsworth, Michelle Tafoya. Chicago Bears, Green Bay Packers. This game just got a whole lot intriguing with the Bears' new acquisition of Khalil Mack, assuming Mack plays. But reality is, the Bears' season hinges on the development of Mitch Trubisky. Aaron Rodgers is back from a broken collarbone, and he'll lead the Pack in a fun game over their division rivals. Prediction, Green Bay 27, Chicago 19. My gambling players, although I don't feel good about it, is laying the 7.5 with the Packers. The over-under is 47.5. My headline, Rodgers sharp against upstart Bears. Monday Night Football. 7:10. ESPN. The Jets at the Lions. The intrigue of this game is that Sam Darnold makes his NFL debut at the age of 21, and on the flip side, Matt Patricia makes his NFL head coaching debut. Darnold does not have a good supporting cast around him, although Matt Stafford's isn't great either. I like the Lions in this spot at home. Detroit 26, New York Jets 16. I like the Lions to cover the 6.5. The over-under is 45. My headline, Sam I am not yet. I wanted to be creative with that one. Los Angeles Rams at the Oakland Raiders, 10:15 ESPN. The new Monday Night Crew's on the call for this one. Joe Tessitore, Jason Witten, Booger McFarland, Lisa Salters. This game would have looked a lot better on paper if Khalil Mack got his contract extension from the Raiders. Instead, he was shipped off to Chicago, and the Raiders might just be one of the worst teams in football. The Rams, meanwhile, are loaded on both sides of the ball and have arguably the best roster in football from top to bottom. I absolutely love the Rams in this spot going away. Rams 34, Raiders 16. And I love the Rams to cover that -4. The over-under is 49.5. My headline, Rams roll in Gruden's second debut with the Raiders. That's it for the Week 1 picks, and that's it for today's podcast. One quick breaking news, though. Keanu Neal out for the season with a torn ACL. Big blow for the Atlanta Falcons as their road to get back to the postseason has just gotten a hell of a lot more difficult. And I'll be back tomorrow recapping last night's TCU-SMU game, go over all the baseball action, look ahead to tomorrow's baseball action. I'll make my picks for the U.S. Open final, talk a little golf, and anything else that breaks news-wise in the world of sports. I hope you guys have a great day, everybody.